So, everybody, Astrocatical here from the Astrocastrophe. There has been word, or rumor, should I say. At this point, I say, yes, rumor. But one that has been very consolidated, at least by one person, and perhaps people who seem to understand and grasp the gravity of the situation. Of course, I'm talking about the former president who tweeted the other day that he was going to be arrested this Tuesday. I have that right here for you. Just so we can all verify what he said and how perhaps this is all going to play out, which at this point we do not know. Donald J. Trump. Now illegal leaks from a corrupt and highly political Manhattan District Attorney's Office, which has allowed new records to be set in violent crime and whose leader is funded by George Soros. Keep that name in mind, George Soros. Indicate that with no crime being able to be proven and based on an old and fully debunked by numerous other prosecutors fairy tale, the far and away leading Republican candidate and former president of the United States of America will be arrested on Tuesday of next week. Protest, take our nation back. So there is a lot going into this. Of course, if he does get indicted and arrested on top of it, I wouldn't want people burning things down or starting fights, doing the sorts of things that BLM and Antifa do. I would not condone that. And surely people, if you're doing it for the wrong political affiliation, you are going to be arrested. So keep that in mind. When you dress like a foot soldier or a ninja, you can do that with impunity as long as you promote the right faction of politics. But beyond that, I would highly recommend that people do protest, that they do speak their voices and in volumes, but I would not advise another January 6th, which is something people are saying is that this is another operation to create another situation like January 6th. And that is where it becomes problematic. If people do overreact to this, I think it would open a can of worms for the Republican Party and libertarians alike. And the government would respond to it in a way that most people would see as, I'm going to say, as authoritarian in one word or another. I would advise that the protests stay peaceful, that they don't prompt any police force or, any threat of the National Guard coming in, because God knows, we know that's what the government wants to do. So they want to take complete control of us and throw us in FEMA camps for all we know, start the next chain of gulags across the country. But I'm going to say, no, please don't. I don't even know what the point of protesting is. It's, as far as I've seen, not effective. It speaks volumes to your message and to the people around you and to the people who support your politics or your group or your movement, but it doesn't do much to the powers that be. And the powers that be, as we can see, are very corrupt. This is all over a woman who, had sex with Donald Trump back in, I think, 2006 or something like that. And here we are, years down the road, Trump is paying his lawyer or you know, these are court costs, lawyer fees. I don't know, but it's very petty that it's being brought up and that he's being arrested for this. I think, who was it? Kevin McCarthy called for an immediate investigation, something among those lines. I think it's ridiculous, and it's obviously a political smear. I think we can all tell that by now. It's certainly nothing to promote Donald Trump or the Republican Party, but people are aware of what's going on, and they can see through the spaces and through all the gaps, and that this is obviously, you know, something that would normally be conducted in the sort of communistic countries. You arrest and kill your political enemies, maybe like what the Nazis did in the coming of the Third Reich. I would, however, again, reiterate what I said. Please keep things peaceful. Please don't. I mean, another January 6th. You look at the whole slew of people who were arrested and they're currently sitting in jail, such as the QAnon shaman. And trust me, I'm not a QAnon person, but I don't think that he did anything other than trespass on property. He wasn't being violent. He wasn't destroying things. He wasn't threatening people. He was probably the most peaceful of all the people who were there. And he's serving a sentence to be set as an example for everybody else. So keep that tucked into the back of your minds. If you decide to make a stink about it, please don't. I would tell you one final time is no weapons, nothing of that sort. No masks. Don't try to conceal your identity. Don't try to hide who you are like all the thugs in Antifa do, because they don't want people knowing what they're doing or who's committing these crimes. Don't commit any crimes, please. I would also like to bring up that a lot of people are saying, like, well, do you think Ron DeSantis is going to do something about this? And I think no. I don't think he's going to do something about this, because the authorities, this is the jurisdiction of Florida in this situation. I mean, in all situations, literally, it's up to the governor and the police. He could, you know, theoretically go in there and put a halt on the whole thing and be like, no, don't arrest him. I don't see that happening. But a lot of people are saying that by standing by this and allowing it to happen, that this is going to cost them their vote in 2024. I understand that. Completely understand that. I can see why people would sort of cast their vote away after this for Ron DeSantis. I 100% agree with it, but I don't think now is the time to sort of rip apart the Republican Party. I think that this would more or less sort of be the thing that George Soros wants. And I think that it's very convenient, the timing, that he happens to be coming to this date of being arrested, falls onto now. There's weeks ago, a month, I think, where Soros was saying something about wanting to tear the Republican Party to pieces because Trump will prevail as some sort of third party candidate. And I kind of can see that happening. And this, could be part of the sort of Soros inducted theme, but I wouldn't go as far as to stretch it too far out of the bounds of imagination. I do think that's definitely a possibility. I don't think that now is the time to be taking like the two forerunners for the Republican Party and pitting them against each other. This is literally a bad move on DeSantis's part. I wouldn't want to tear him to pieces or away, though, from whatever sort of chance we have at taking at least some semblance of the country back. He might be someone who sort of backs away from the establishment a little bit more than Trump does. But if Trump's not going to get in there and he's not going to get in there, who are we left with? Is my question. Who are we left with? That's when George Soros wins, is because that is his intention, is to take the MAGA people and turn them against everybody else in the Republican Party. And then we'll literally have nothing. So I'm putting that out there because, no, I don't like the fact that he's standing by. You know, in a lot of these situations, DeSantis does what they tell him to do. He doesn't stand up to him as much as Donald Trump does, which is why I think it's important to remind ourselves of that. This is not something I think, you know, to hurt him or anything like that, to hurt number 45. But I do think that it will set an example for the future of the Republican Party and how it can just be ripped to pieces like that. But what else can I tell you about that? I mean, it was it was being reported a month ago. People were talking about it. That's what he literally said, is he wants to basically pit those two against each other and tear the Republican Party to pieces so the Democrats can win. But that would be all for now. Thank you for watching this video. Again, please don't go out of control if this whole thing happens. Trump seems to be sure that he's going to be arrested. He seems to be very sure of that. Will he be arrested? I don't know. I think this is a toss-up. I don't know. I kind of don't see it happening. But at the same time, you know, stranger things have happened. But I don't necessarily think it will. Anyways, we're not going to see him being hauled off in a cop car with handcuffs on him. I'll say that much. I will say that much. I mean, this man's a billionaire. He's not gonna go out like that. He has too much pride, ego, and dignity. So keep that in mind. Anyways, I'm Master Catical. This has been the Astrocatastrophe, and I will see you next time.